everybody, welcome back to the Engineered Angler. If you're new to the channel, my name's Franco. I'm a professional engineer and a lure designer and lure builder and an avid fisherman. In these videos, I add a little bit of science and physics to the art of lure design and building. So today we're gonna take off where we left off with this glide bait that I made from a chunk of cedar on last week's video. And if you haven't seen that, I'll put a link above me. And as promised, I'm going to go ahead and paint this lure in a golden shiner pattern, and I'm going to use some airbrush paints that are brand new to me. I've never used these. They're by Jacquard and they're all metallic. And before I get into the paint booth and actually start painting, I just want to bring you up to speed on the lure. On the last video, I was a little hesitant to decide whether to add a little more weight. When I took it down to the water, it looked like it was floating just a little high. Yeah, I think it's a little too buoyant. I might add a little bit of weight to it. But it does act the way I wanted it to, which is to move to one side and then move the other. And it tended to want to float up tail first. So I did do two things. One is I moved the tail hook eye from somewhere around here to all the way to the very back. I added a little 2-gram split shot right there, just behind the original slug of weight that I put in. So that brings the total weight of the body of the lure to about 40 grams. And we had already calculated that 47.6 grams would be as much as the lure could weigh and still be buoyant. So the color scheme I'm going to use is a golden lake shiner. Here's a photograph, and you can see it's got golden scales and a black background. It also has that lateral line that sort of dips down towards the belly. I want to include that, but I want to do a very subtle job at doing that. Alright, so let's go ahead and dig into this. I'll open up this blister pack. Alright, so we've got metallic yellow, metallic red, metallic blue, metallic true gold, metallic solar gold, metallic silver, metallic copper, and yes, metallic white. Before I start putting paint down, I've got to protect that foil because I want to keep it nice and shiny, so when I put transparent paint on it, it'll turn gold and still be really reflective. I'll take my original drawing, or a copy of my original drawing, and I'm going to cut the part of the drawing that I want to protect on the lure itself. Now I'm going to take some masking tape, a little bit of wax paper, and I'm going to make a custom protective stencil. Tape about twice as much as you need. Half of it on one side, fold it over, the other half on the other side. Now I'm just going to temporarily tack down the little template. And now I can cut out the facial features that I want to protect, and I'll end up with 2 of them, one for each side, and I'll just do that with a razor blade. Alright, I'm going to start with some opaque white because I need to sort of make an opaque white base for the bottom because it's got the dark spots that I need to cover. And I'm going to run the white up just a little ways, knowing that I'm going to have a little bit of yellow in there too. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and switch to yellow now. I'm going to go very light opaque yellow, and then we're going to go black from here down. When you're planning to paint on scale patterns, you've got to plan for what colors are going to be under the scales, and that's what I'm doing here. Alright, so the next detail is this lateral line here. Don't want to do it so it really just pops. I want to do it so it's subtle. So I'm going to actually put the line in underneath what the scales are going to be. So I'm going to make a hard black line, and then when I put the scales on, it should be obscured and still show through between the scales. And I'm going to create a template just like I did before with masking tape. This way it lays up on the body really good and I don't have to worry about it. Now I'm going to use this transparent orange paint to turn the gill plates gold. Right about now you're wondering, when are you going to use those metallic paints? Now it's time to put the mesh on for the scale pattern. And we'll be using this true gold metallic. And now for some metallic yellow. A touch of metallic white. And a bit of metallic red. How about some little fins? Now I'll move back to the transparent black and start blending in the hard lines. Both on the fins, and I'll do a little bit on top too, just to blend in that hard black, make it look just a little more natural. Well, pretty happy with that. And as far as those metallic paints, they paint really nice, they go on really nicely, and they're pretty metallic. The gold especially looks really good. The red is kind of a pearlescent. It's not as metallic as I thought it would be, and the white looks pretty nice too. I've got a kind of considering getting some silver in there too, but we'll leave it like it is. All right, looks like we're gonna have some good daylight, some sunshine even. Might be able to get out there, and after I clear coat this guy, we can do a little more in-water videoing and see how it looks all painted up and in the water. Oh man, I almost forgot to put eyes on it. And this is like my favorite part. All right, it has been a minute. 4,568 minutes to be exact. So this has had plenty of time to cure. I had my first COVID shot and within 5 days started getting some side effects. I had some fatigue, some muscle pain, some memory loss, some muscle pain. Did I say memory loss? I'm just kidding. It was just a mild cold that you volunteered to have. But I'm back, I'm about 80%, and hopefully I can get down to the dock this afternoon and we can do a little bit of playing around with this thing. Let me show you how it came out. It's got 2 coats on it, so I had enough time to do that. I also added a little bit of silver right up there underneath the fins, And I'm hoping that you can see the subtle effect of that lateral line we put in underneath the scales. I think it looks pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put some number 2 hooks on this. Let me go ahead and get the GoPro ready, and hopefully I won't run out of juice before we get this video finished. All right, we're down at the dock. It's much sunnier day than the last time. Last time it was pretty overcast. I think you'll be able to see it a little better in this kind of sunlight, but the top of the lure is dark now, so maybe not as well as I was hoping. Okay. Just like before, I expect that it'll drift to either side, but you can see how it sinks much deeper now with the added 2 grams, and you can see how it floats with very little exposed on the surface, just the very top. Well, the lure really does behave much better at the end of a cast, or at least with some line in the water. When it's up close to you or the boat or the dock, it really doesn't behave very well because you're kind of yanking up on it. And it does still swim pretty nicely towards you when you're just slow cranking it. Well, I'm about spent. I'm gonna take a couple of painkillers and take a nap. I'll see you next Friday.